Welcome to the big show. It's Starbase 80. Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot to do this. Hang on. I can't believe I forgot to do this. All the things I remember to do. And I forgot to do this. And I got to tell you, I'm not really behind on this one. I actually did a lot of prep on this episode. Not going to be playing catch up. Yep. The robe. I do love this robe. It's a Christmas gift. All right. How much of your time have I just destroyed? Oh, that's crazy. Okay. Captain John, Starbase 80. This is a Star Trek love fest. It's a discussion, some reviewing, some opinions, and in some cases, like with this episode, we go way back. This episode was made in 1966. What? Way back. And we do it with one of the best darn first officers in the whole fleet. The best. Why am I saying one of? Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you know my XO, Mr. Flobo boy.
Sweet robe there, Captain. I'm so glad you picked it out right there. You know, looks really fresh with the dry cleaners. Definitely deserve it. Treat yourself.
So, Mr. Boyce, how are you on this fine Sunday?
You know, it's a little overcast outside, but I'm doing all right.
We are so unused to overcast skies out here in California. We call this weather.
Yeah. It's that August gray, I tell you, or that June gloom. I don't know.
There's like 4 clouds up there, and they're California clouds, so you know they're probably weed.
Yeah. I was gonna say they're gonna burn off, but that actually makes sense, huh?
Well, you know, burnouts. That's California as well. Mr. Boyce, I'm going to remind the folks at home that when I started watching Star Trek, it was the year 1970.
Wow.
Star Trek had just gone into syndication. And I realize as we've been going through these episodes, especially TOS, the original series, I have realized that I saw it when it first began in syndication.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the first episodes that were ever shown in syndication were the first episodes I ever saw, vice versa. That's a long way and a disjointed way of telling you that this is one of the first episodes I saw.
Whoa.
As a youngster.
So you have like nostalgia baked in.
I do, and I'm hoping you can help me separate the nostalgia from the actual opinions that I have about quality.
Refuse. I don't want to come here and be a wet blanket every Sunday on Weber Internet thingy. I'm actually a nice person.
I mean, one of the things that that I love about this show, I think everyone who watches this show loves it as well, is that you are a newer fan of Star Trek.
I used to be a new fan, but I guess I have enough years on it now where I can say I'm newer to it, and that's a good thing. I'm learning as I go.
Oh yeah, and it's and I tell you this all the time, and I know it sounds weird and dumb, but you always make a face. But it's interesting to me to hear your reactions and your impressions, because for me, this is so like, this is my history. Like there's no changing this. There's no fresh outlook I can give to this because I'm so in. And because you're more recently in, your opinions really like blow my mind sometimes in a very good way.
Is that the face I make? Blow my mind. I'm a couple working stiffs, man. We don't really. I went to film school. I don't use my degree in practice. I don't really know what's going on. I just go, okay, we're going to see salt vampires today. I'm in.
And of course, my college degree is in communications, and I was being prepared for a future without internet.
Oh yeah. Oh, woo. How's Writer's periodical coming?
Was coming. We thought cable TV was it, and then eventually there would be pay TV.
Oh yeah,
where you would like pay per thing that you watch, which would be awesome. I wish we had that.
You know what's weird? It's not so much the way the old time was versus the stuff that's today. It's that weird transition technology that no one remembers anymore. Like I was having an argument with somebody, and I said there used to be a service called like Keen. Do you remember Keen?
No.
Like, let's say you were having a bar argument. So this is like before Google, but after like going, you would call a 1-800 number, and someone on the other line will look it up for you and go, hey, what's the capital of Hungary? I told you it was Budapest. Like, it was a weird time.
I remember that.
It's done.
I remember that. Oh my God. And I remember thinking like, well, you know, like how much would it be worth it to me to like say like, how many stupid science fiction shows did Irwin Allen produce? Like that's something I look up every day.
Yeah.
Something like that. Today it was Alfred Ryder is one of the actors in this episode. And I was like, I've seen him around before. Where have I seen him? If I had to call someone and ask, well, I wouldn't even know the name Alfred Ryder, would I?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You were that guy, be like, who's that guy? You know the thing. You know.
And I'd be asking like the mailman, my grandpa. I'd be asking people who have no idea and no interest.
So for a good price of $4.99 a minute, you could totally call someone up and ask them. You're going to ask a stranger.
I mean, I think my I think my internet bill's bad now. Imagine if I'd been using Keen the way I use the internet.
Right.
I don't even know what a memory alpha. What the hell is that, sir? What are you talking about?
Oh wow. Well, now it's a connecting site that helps you find psychics. But at the time, it was founded in 1999. It's crazy. Okay, so
I'm not so keen on that idea.
Dad jokes. Speaking of dad jokes, what is today's dad joke? What do you call an army of babies? An infantry.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. What's my dad joke? Hang on. Look at my calendar. Doctors are saying not to worry about the bird flu because it's tweetable.
It's timely.
It's timely.
Bird flu, am I right?
Wow, we're almost done with August, aren't we?
Yeah. This year, I felt like it has the most weirdly paced. I feel like January took forever, and then I blinked, and the summer's over.
The weeks have been flying by, and oh my goodness. And sorry, I shouldn't subject you or the viewers to me looking at a calendar, because then the feeling of sadness that I have and how fleeting time is and how little I accomplish in my life.
People are trying to find Star Trek reviews, like reading a calendar. Welcome back to Starbase 80. Arbor Day.
Am I right, people? Armistice. What about Legistus?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Now you understand why I was so great at at improv. Oh, our London man. I believe you're a London man. Craig Robinson says, "Oi, love to hear the puns, gents."
Craig,
I'm assuming that's what you sound like. Oh yeah, like a really grand man. Oh, love to hear those puns. The wordplay.
I always think of Craig Robinson looking like more like Mo Gilligan, you know, like just the chain, like the turtleneck, just like, what up, bruv? Like one of those. Everyone's a bruv. All right.
Maybe Craig, do you ever call people bruv? Because if I had to put money on it, I would bet you do.
Yep.
Flobo, do you ever call people bro?
All the time. And it was funny because when I moved to California, I used to say dude ironically, and then dude became like a thing. Like, oh, and I always say dude. But bro is becoming that word too. But like dude before became a word people would pull you aside and go, hey, I'm not a dude. I'm da da da. So I would say, yeah, you know, brother, like and like the thankfully I get away with it being a brother. I could be like, oh, everyone's a brother. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that. And so I'm like, yo, what up, bro? What's going on, bro?
I mean, it's more common now to say bruh than to say dude. And yeah, I come from the Northeast too. And dude for us was like, really? That's what you call each other? But I guess I was using man. I don't know, man. Whatever, man.
I'm from Brooklyn. I would say son. What up, son? And then you come out here and goes, I'm not your father. But then people from LA would say dog. I'm like, what the hell? What up, dog? Like, that's just okay. Don't get me angry. I'm angry now. Snoop Dogg.
Oh man. Let's talk about this episode. I have a little piece of history here. Now, normally we would be told well, that's somebody else's
wait. We're doing the Man Trap. That's season 1, episode 2. And before we begin, I just want to say the intro was too loud this week. What the hell? It's the opposite. Okay. I got so upset. It's like for years I was on the show saying the TOS intro was awful. I couldn't hear a thing, and now it blew up my speakers.
Concern it. Turn down the volume on your spaceship there, mister. Oh, that is hilarious. Wasn't too, I didn't notice, but you know, I'm a little deef. As the hillbillies say. Okay, let's take a look at the preview, which originally aired in 1966 for this episode.
Multimedia.
I can't hit it on that page. Can I? Well, that would be crazy if that would work. No, see, that doesn't work. Okay, so I have to hit it here. There we go.
Captain's log, star date 1324.1. On planet M113, we encounter a killer from a lost
Isn't it
world.
weird? He goes right in the mouth. Reaches right in the mouth. What happened here? Let me fish around your mouth.
Captain, you beamed down a crewman who doesn't know better than to eat.
I've just lost a crewman, Mrs. Grader. I want to know what happened. And what kills a healthy man?
I'll tell you something.
Lots
else.
of good yelling
This
from
man shouldn't
Kirk
be
in this
dead.
one.
I can't find anything wrong with him. According to all the tests, he should get up and just walk away from here.
Can you recognize this thing when you see it?
I understand what it's like to have that hair. That
I'll forego charges up to this point. But this creature's aboard my ship, and I'll have it, or I'll have your skin, or both. Now, where is it?
I'll kill to stay alone. You hear that?
I recognize that gun
Raider knows
from
the creature. We can
the
take him
pilot,
alive.
We don't want you here.
the laser gun.
Let's get him.
I love this. Watch this. Big old explosion.
Everyone dies. They gave everything away in the trailer. No, they did not do that.
So if you saw that, when I was a student, hang on, I have to turn off YouTube. If you had seen that, would you be excited to see that episode?
Yes, but I do come from a big fan of being a CSI nerd, and that was presented as more of a medical mystery than space adventure.
That's funny. Yeah, I thought that too.
So I'm beyond board.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that's interesting about this episode, the Man Trap. You made notes, John. Why don't you pull them up? As we have mentioned, this is, interestingly enough, right near the beginning of the series. It was the 6th episode that they filmed.
Okay.
6th episode that they put together. It was the first that they put on air.
So that's what I felt too. I was like, okay, well, this is not so much an overall thing. I was like, wow, the relationship seems a lot more established, but you look on the little like episode guide, it seems to be so early. I was like, wow, that's a bold choice to do this adventure. So, but that makes sense. They shot things out of order.
Yes, and there's actually a story to why this was the first one aired. So I've stolen this from memoryalpha.com. The Man Trap was the first Star Trek episode to air on September 8th of 1966. As detailed in the book Inside Star Trek, The Real Story, the decision to broadcast this entry before any of the other few completed episodes. And so there are 6 episodes-ish at the time that they could show. Although Corbinite Maneuver had good special effects and it demonstrated the series' intelligent approach to alien life forms, Corbinite Maneuver was not chosen because its completion was delayed because of post-production.
That makes sense. Yeah.
There's the episode Charlie X. That was considered bad because most of the action takes place aboard the Enterprise. It was also deemed too gentle a tale because it dealt with the problems of an adolescent. There was Mudd's Women. So Harry Mudd debuted very early in their production schedule. But that was out of the running because it was seen as a risque story about selling women to minors in space.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny that the Mudd was the first time I saw them was in Discovery. So like I always think of Mudd as being like Haggard wearing Wilson. So going back to be like, oh yeah, that's Mudd. So it's always like, oh yeah, okay. The whimsy of the 1960s and 70s.
It's true. And the sort of like grittiness of the modern storytelling that now Harry Mudd's a psychopath.
Oh yeah. I kind of miss my Snagglepuss Mudd. Women even.
He's like Snagglepuss. Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah. Oh, Captain, stage left, exit. There was the second pilot that they shot, Where No Man Has Gone Before, which we've reviewed here on Starbase 80. That was considered too expository.
What does that even mean? Was Moesha too black? What? The whole show's expository. It's science fiction. That's the whole point.
Was Moesha too?
What the hell? Too expository? Whatever.
Yeah, well, you got to understand these are network guys who are doing this. So these are also the guys who will write notes like an alien wouldn't say that.
Fair.
You know, like that's real.
I worked in post-production. I get that.
Yeah. So network people. Oh man, standards and practices. I used to work on a talk show. Standards and practices they will find problems so it looks like they're busy.
Yeah, that's like the quotas. Almost like a cop. Like, yep, didn't track for me. What does that even mean? Doesn't track for you? Well, I didn't get it. Then what's the note? I'll figure it out.
Right. You didn't get it because you're everyone. Oh man. And then there was also the option of starting with the naked time. And that was argued that maybe that was a good idea because it was an introduction to the different characters' personalities aboard the Enterprise. But the Man Trap won out because its straightforward action plot was not considered too exotic. It had the advantage of a monster to thrill the viewers, and it fulfilled the series' strange new worlds concept. Do you agree with that, Mr. Boyce?
I think ultimately, yeah. And of the options presented, this one does seem like the relationships were established more, right? It's the team with the external threat. Like the naked time was good, but it's kind of like, oh, they're acting differently, which would be a weird thing to do if you didn't really know who everyone is. That's right, Craig Lubin, yelling. That's very Seinfeld. That was a very Seinfeld. Yeah. Yelling. What's the deal?
There's a monster on the ship. There's a monster on the ship, Jerry. A monster. Yes, Craig Lubin writes a lot more yelling than I remember. There was a lot of yelling in this episode. One of the cheapest special effects is acting. That's what I always like to say.
Yeah.
And what they like to do on Star Trek is they like to turn it up to 11. So there was a bit of that. Let's see. What else did I have here? This script, interestingly enough, it was the The script was written by George Clayton Johnson. Here's something maybe you didn't know. He
Probably
wrote
not.
a science fiction short story called All of Us Are Dying. It was later adapted by Rod Serling for The Twilight Zone. For a 1959 episode called The Four of Us Are Dying, that show also involved a person who could make himself into whomever he chose.
Ooh, like a shapeshifter?
Yes.
Okay.
Although I have an argument about that. I'm not sure, and maybe the comments, maybe you guys in the comments have an opinion on this as well. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Let's get right into the plot. We get down to the planet. It is they're bringing the doctor. Basically, it's a country doctor mission. They're
Right.
bringing the doctor to the planet because the archaeologist Dr. Crater and his wife are there, and they're being employed by Starfleet, I guess.
Planet
And-
M113. That's what I worked.
Thank you. Planet M113. And when they get there, the doctor is very cranky. He's very shouty. Very very insulting, very snooty, if you will.
Yeah. Again, the question I have when we go to Vulcan, one, looks very similar to Vulcan. Two, where's downtown? Where are the Panera breads on this planet? I just feel like there's like 2 caves and that's it. You have to assume the entire thing is just a barren wasteland, except for one monster.
What's interesting is they do a couple of wide shots of the planet. Those are actually taken from other episodes.
Yeah, definitely obvious.
and it's rife in these first 5-6 episodes of because they hadn't gone to air yet, and so they would take scenes from a different show and put them into these shows with all of this editing magic, which I must say, as a former, when I was a student, I was a TV guy. When you were a student, you were a film guy. I gotta say, editing from the film standpoint, really kind of magical. The fact that they could take so much from other shoots and apply it to different episodes like this one.
I think the equivalent of Star Trek then is like The Flash now, or how it was, where it's obviously the same animations with different backgrounds are flipped or reversed, but they're reused for every one of these 24 episodes of seasons. And it is kind of magic. Yeah, you can say, wait a minute, I saw that same thing 3 episodes ago, but the idea is, I'm locked in, check out the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And what's cool is it creates moments. So I wondered about this. Let me ask you about this. Because I keep going back. So let's go forward. So this is the first episode. This is the first episode that people are seeing. So the impression being put across is very interesting how they're doing it. So the first thing we see on screen is we see the ship. And the ship is going around this red planet, clearly not Earth. Then we cut to the inside of the ship. We've got Spock sitting in the captain's chair. Oh my God, what is his name? I just had it. Because there's like one of the other guys. We don't. He shows up. One of the crewmen, but
there was Darnell's with the team.
Darnell's with the team.
That's the guy that died later on.
I had this in my notes. Did I not find this? It's kind of funny because you've got this. Basically, you've got Spock in the captain's chair. He's not the captain, and then you've got Uhura sitting at the helm,
right?
Which is very unusual because she's communications officer normally. And then you've got the other guy, the curly haired guy who shows up in a bunch of episodes. I can't. Oh man. Yeah, I can't remember his name, and I'll run into it later and hate myself. And we also get this shot up of Spock, which I think is very prominent in that they're showing his ears, and his eyebrows, which makes him. And honestly, did no one think of this at the time? But he looks so much like Submariner. from Marvel.
Oh yeah. But you know what? It's kind of the same thing, right? Like, how do you do an alien? This generic alien type. Like, if I was like, I remember that when I was a kid. Well, when you were not a kid, there was a show on the weekends called Earth Final Conflict, and it was kind of like, oh, let's take the idea of a funny green guy, but make him flesh color. Like, it's always a derivative of each other's thing. So I could totally see someone be like, oh, that's an otherworldly guy, you know?
Yeah, right. And there's an accessibility to him too. Even though he doesn't look crazy alien to us now, people who have watched a lot of science fiction, but back in the day, like you watch a show with a guy with a pointed ears. What are you, dumb?
Yeah.
Like,
is that why Star Trek fans are so like angry now? Is it like wrestling fans where they get beat down for being nerds that one day they all rose up and had an uprising?
100%, 1000%. It is a chip you carry on your shoulder forever, because you're basically being told by a bunch of mooks that the thing that you like is dumb, and they're so dumb when they're telling it to you. You know what? I watch the Cleveland Indians every day, and you're dumb because you watch pointy-eared guy.
That's very specific.
Well, I mean, you know how I am about sports fans. I would have said Mets, but you're a Mets fan.
You better. Let's go Mets.
Craig Lubin says Spock is Namor, Imperious Rex. I'm telling you, man, what a missed opportunity. Nimoy would have made an incredible Namor. Okay, so I'm just wondering if this whole first sequence in this whole first episode isn't to say to the audience, like, look, man, you're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
You know, throw all these differences at you, including we got a black woman driving.
Whoa!
What?
Strange two worlds indeed. No.
I believe the joke, and it was told by Nichelle Nicholas during the Kirk oh my God, Shatner, during the William Shatner roast, she had a joke that one of the comics had written for about actually there was a Japanese guy driving, and what a brave show that was.
Raw.
I know, that is raw. It's racist and we know it, so if it offends you, you're right.
I mean, the captain said Cleveland Guardians by their old name. I didn't say a thing. We're the most racist show on TV. Let's go Guardians. Cancel him over there. I'm kidding. Don't cancel him.
Wait, I thought that was Washington.
No, they're the Commanders. The Washington Commanders. The Cleveland Guardians. Yeah.
Well, the joke I was telling was it's set in a time in the past. It's not up here that it's the past. I was very
If we're getting canceled, we're getting canceled on a package deal. It's fine, Cap.
Oh no, cancel me. No, keep Flobo. Cancel me. No, absolutely. I understand that. Also in the captain's log, he says, we're visiting the doctor and his wife, who is the one woman from Dr. McCoy's past he's never quite gotten over. He says that in the captain's log. Isn't that a little gossipy?
Captain's log. My doctor's a biatch. I guess it's expository, but yeah, it seems kind of underhanded to be like, you know what? I bang aliens every week. He has a problem with that. We ain't built the same. We are not built the same.
Oh, McCoy's so cute. He thinks he can get some. He's no me. And then he's like got a weird joke where he's like, hey, shouldn't you bring her flowers? And he basically picks up local vegetation, which is basically like wheat. And he like shoves it in McCoy's face. Here's some wheat. Why don't you give her this?
I totally took that as like, Kirk is smooth, my guy is not, and we're going to suspicion for this dude. Jesus Christ, I'd rather do something else.
But then McCoy's got that great comeback of like, is that what you do? You bribe women to like you?
And that's why he's single. Because yes, we do. You think you don't do anything, get away with it? You have to bribe women. All right, that's what it is.
Oh my God. this is all before the opening credits. So much happens. They are sniffing around the crater's home / pyramid, and then Nancy comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy comes in, and she's looking lovely. A lovely woman, played by Jeannie Ball. And she comes in, and McCoy sees her, and then we cut to Kirk, and Kirk sees her, and she's different.
Mm-hmm.
So McCoy sees her as like a 25-year-old, I'm doing air quotes.
Different time back then.
And McCoy, had been in love with her. So there is that, like, okay, he's seeing her as she was. But then when Kirk looks at her, she's older, and not in a bad way. She's quite the MILF, I would say. Maybe.
Is she a MILF? No, she is quite the MILF. Why that tickle me? I have no idea. It's early.
And then Darnell. Ooh, Darnell. That Darnell sees her and sees like a completely different woman.
Right.
Not even a version of Jean Ball. And he sees this blonde. And there's a little bit of like, hey girl, what's up? Hey Darnell, what's up? First off, white guy named Darnell. Is that a problem?
I would say yes, but I've met 3 Tyrones in my life, and all of them are white. So maybe not.
Wow. It's a big wide world.
Yeah, big wide world.
Lots of people can have names now. Okay, when Alfred Ryder as Dr. Crater comes in, this is after the credits, he is he over the top? He is so dramatic to me. Like, page it back a little there, Shirley. You are really...
I think you saw how everyone else was going. I was like, oh, yeah? Well, they're going to make me a reoccurring AF. What is this? For what is happening?
Now, I was reading through all the little trivial bits of information, and this is interesting. He had, before the shoot, so I guess he'd gotten the role, and then something happened, and he injured his arm.
Okay.
And he was in extreme pain. This is the actor, Alfred Ryder. In crazy amounts of pain, but still muscled through because he wanted to do his job.
Right.
So I wonder if that informed how he played the role. Like, get out of here. No one wants, oh God, my arm hurts so much.
Maybe, but you could tell there is acting from hunger. That was definitely like, don't forget about me when the budget comes for next week. I could come back. I could be someone's cousin. You know what I mean? Like,
make me a regular, damn it. Well, he actually, I'll just jump over very quickly. Alfred Ryder, to me, when Patrick McGowan got older, he actually reminded me so much of Alfred Ryder, kind of like the crazy doctor guy.
Yeah.
He had been in he had done some radio work. He had done a couple of Broadway shows, a couple of movies, not a lot. But then when TV came along, he did a lot of science fiction. Mm-hmm. He was on One Step Beyond. He was in Irwin Allen shows, which is why I thought of that later. So he was in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Land of the Giants, just some of the worst shows. Did you ever hear of the show The Invaders?
No.
It's about a guy who finds out that aliens are slowly invading Earth and no one believes him, and it's like The Fugitive. I think it only lasted about 2 seasons, but he was the villain. He was like the main villain on that.
Nobody believes him. Oh, you know what? Actually, I was going to be like, no one believes him, but no one believes anything nowadays either. Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
You and
my dad
Fauci, I'm liars.
You made it political, which is great, because why not get canceled for 2 things?
Why not? Did you ever see True Grit with John Wayne?
I saw the remake. That was one with Brad Pitt. No, Haley Steinfeld.
Remake. Matt
Haley
Damon
Steinfeld?
and Jeff Bridges,
Yeah.
and it was great. I loved it. Yeah, because he's probably best known, Alfred Ryder, for being the district attorney who cross-examines John Wayne in the film True Grit.
Gotcha. Sidebar about that. In the remake, it featured Haley Steinfeld, who's like a mega star now. But when I was in film school, she was an actress in one of our films. So there was a time where we were like, Haley Steinfeld's in it. Let's go see it. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So thanks to Haley, I know True Grit.
Were you? Did you ever get a chance to see Hawkeye? She's so good.
So after Winter Soldier, I was like, you know what, Marvel, you and I need a break, because the last thing I asked about is, what does Falcon do when he wants to buy a boat? I get it. Plight of a black man. There was an original super soldier, but you beat me over the head with it for 6 hours. I'm good. So it is a huge I saw Doctor Strange, and I realized I don't trust Doctor Strange to give him his own movie. But I took a Marvel break, so I haven't seen Miss Marvel. I haven't seen Hulk, She-Hulk. I haven't seen Hawkeye.
I highly agree with you that that was not great. But Hawkeye was great. That was great. So you're kind of in for a treat there. I was really on my own watching Falcon and Winter Soldier. Everyone I knew in my immediate circle did not like that show. I liked it, but
I would argue that Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson is the second least likable person in the MCU. But I gave it a chance because, hey, I love Captain America. I love the Falcon. Let me go watch it. But it was kind of like, bro, I get it. And I have a built-in suntan too, but you are making this not palatable at all. It's tough out there for a black guy. You got caught in the blip. I tell you, I just want a boat. Like, shut up. Shut up. I don't know if I'm worthy for the shield. Yes, you are. 5 hours later, I'm worthy of the shield. Oh, for real? Like, it's just...
He's a great Captain America. I love Anthony Mackie. Man, why is that?
Get his ass kicked by Ant-Man. I don't want to hear about that.
Come on now. Anybody?
He did.
Look, Ant-Man has powers. Why do people?
He jobbed.
He did the job to Ant-Man. Here, I'll tell you what, Anthony Mackie. You're gonna lose to Ant-Man.
Where's the pay window?
Go over to the pay window. Dusty will give you your envelope. All right, we are so far off the beaten track here. I do want to put up Craig's comment about that scene where Nancy is doing the she looks different to everyone gimmick. Now, Craig says they all see an idealized version of her based on their desires, and it looks like Kirk is into MILFs.
So this is interesting you said this, because like at first I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe this is what Kirk likes. But because Kirk is also egotistical, I thought it was like his ideal is like, there's no way that McCoy can like a woman as attractive who he finds attractive. So he made her ugly because McCoy was into her. Is that weird? Is that
No.
headcanon?
I'm 100% with you on that, because he taunts McCoy later, where McCoy's like, she's so beautiful, she looks so young. And Kirk's like, I have the quote here. She's a handsome woman, yes, but hardly 25. And then in parentheses, I have smug Kirk face.
I know what that is.
So it's kind of a Debbie Downer, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird thing going on.
But that's ever happened to you when someone like you don't think it's like the most attractive dude goes, hey, look, I'm dating someone, and you're like, she looks good for you, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what do you say? Like, good for you.
This is so insulting to every woman I was with before my wife. It was so awkward for me when things started with my wife, Les. And you know, Leslie.
Yeah, fantastic.
She was so objectively beautiful that I was like, I can't handle this. This is freaking me out. Like, I'm with someone everyone thinks is beautiful. This is crazy. I can't keep this woman. Somebody really handsome is going to come along and steal her. What?
Yeah.
30 years later, we're fine. Let's get Craig Lubin back on screen here. LOL Flobo, the preach on
It
Captain
was.
America, Anthony Mackie, and the Winter Soldier was a bit thick, and I liked the show as a person with permanent tan.
My man.
Hey,
You know the
I
first
love-
soldier was black. Yes, we know.
I want to hear all the opinions. I love this. This is why we're here. And I totally respect you for that, because honestly, every once in a while I'll watch something Marvel and go, what? Like,
Right.
dude, the Eternals. I finally made it through the Eternals.
Oh wow.
What?
Yeah, you know it's a thing.
It's a thing.
That's
I mean,
universe
look,
right there. They'll love the Eternals. Suckers. Oh shit, they hated it.
Well,
Oh no.
well, what was interesting is I really think Eternals, like many things nowadays, was made for an international market. And I'm not sure how much the gummy chewing bro that I am out here in California. I don't know that it's important that I like it, but I think it's important that it does well in India, and it does well in China, and it does well around the globe. Hispanic countries as well. So, it's not quite for me. So I kind of get that, but I feel like a lot of things are for me. So I'm kind of
You
thrown by
know
that.
damn well that Marvel made a kiddie table with all the brown people and was like, here you go, Eternals. It has nothing to do with the main story, but it's over there. We got an Indian guy. We got a husband. It was terrible. We deserve better.
I'm not saying that. I am not. Look, man. Look, okay. I mean, obviously, we can't get deep into this because I mean,
Salt
I-
vampire.
I am let's get back to the salt vampires. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying anybody here can be wrong about this. It's all subjective. Anyway, salt vampires.
Yeah, for sure.
What else do I have here? Okay, dude. What about that scene? Okay, now I have the quotes from it. There's some weird stuff going on in the beginning of portraying Star Trek and the Enterprise and life on the Enterprise. And remember, we are introducing these characters to the world in this episode, first episode on air. So weird things are going to happen.
Okay.
Here is what I think was really weird. This scene where Uhura is talking to Mr. Spock, who is, acting captain. He's the one in the center chair. And what's her line? It's like, if I hear one more, if I hear the word frequency one more time, I'll cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh yeah, there it is. And then tell me about your planet, Vulcan. Tell me how it looks on a lazy evening when the moon is full. And Spock says, Vulcan has no moon, Miss Uhura.
Wow.
And she says, I'm not surprised, Mr. Spock. She's like being seductive with Spock.
I am part Vulcan. Because the same thing I would answer that. So you from around here? No, I'm from Burbank. No, I understand. I think it's more of a character beat. I know it sounds kind of seductive.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a character beat, being like, hey, I'm bored. I'm creative. Let me think about things. We're serving, but there's downtime. But yeah, it totally comes off as her throwing herself at Spock and being like, that's crazy, woman. There are no moons.
I mean, she's like, I'm an illogical woman. And I'm sitting here going, that dialogue was written by Gene Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something someone would say, but they're trying to get the characters across. But I find it really interesting that Uhura is a girl. She's acting like, a bored college sophomore.
Yeah.
Working at a silly job, and she needs stimulation. And hey, Leonard Nimoy, not a bad looking fella.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna give the show the benefit of the doubt. It's very easy to be like, the black woman did it, but like, you look at the crew and they're all diverse in a good way. So it would have to be one of them. So it's kind of like pick your poison. Who's gonna be the one to be like, who's going to be the one to do the filler dialogue with Spock to be like, what's going on, dude? You know what I mean? So I think it's fair play.
I agree, and I think you're born by the fact that everybody has a little bit of time on this episode. Everybody. I mean, there are exceptions, like Scotty's not on the episode. His voice was lifted from another episode and put on the communicator at one point. But we get a couple scenes with Yeoman Rand. We get a couple scenes with Sulu. We get our scenes between Spock and Uhura. So we are kind of getting that feeling of interaction. There's another thing. I've titled this section Horny Ship Adventures.
Oh, wow.
There's some horny stuff going on this ship.
That's implied by the Horny Ship Adventures title. Yeah. What?
So,
the Horny Ship Adventures.
At one point, Yeoman Rand is walking a long way with this food. And she's like eating some of it, and she's walking and walking. This is later in the episode when the salt vampire has turned into the guy Green. I assume he's an ensign Green, and now he's just trying to find some salt. Salt vampires gotta have their salt.
Yeah.
So he's basically stalking Yeoman Rand. At one point, Yeoman Rand walks by some, admiring crewmen. What's going on? Ooh. Oh, is that for me? Ooh. And then one of them says to another, how'd you like to have her as your own personal yeoman?
You didn't like that at all, sir?
That's just kind of like catcally to me. I mean, did I live in New York too long?
That's exactly what it is.
Hey, why you be my personal yeoman? Hey, all right, she's gone. Oh, good. Here comes Uhura. I'll just sexually harass her. Hello, Uhura.
You went from like New York to a cartoon cat. Like, I forget who that was. That guy who talks like that. Not maybe Huey. But anyway, point being, you know what? Yeah, that's it. That's it. John C. Reilly. There is just two things at play. One, 60s, 70s, G. Roddenberry, sure.
Right.
Two, there is a story here, but there isn't enough story to fill the hour. And I mention this sometimes. And I used to write spec scripts for cop dramas, procedurals. And this is why in whatever cop show you're doing, there's a season 3 act 3 foot chase, because the foot chase can fill time, doesn't advance the plot. And my favorite is the interrogation scene where the cop just says, "A man is dead. I need to know who found this." Like, obviously, yes, that is your job. So we have a scene like this where you get what they call shoe leather, her walking forever, them catcalling it. Yeah, it's lame, it's stupid filler, but I really feel there's nothing to cut to get away from that story. So it's like, kind of a product this time.
No, you're right. I mean, you're also backed up by the fact that they have cut like some hallway scenes and some walking scenes from other episodes to put them in this episode. So they had to pad out for time. The episode, I think, pretty clearly was coming in under time.
Yeah.
Which is why we get that. I mean, there's a lot of scenes when the salt vampire is disguising herself as various people on the Enterprise and just like biting her knuckle and like, I really want that salt. I understand the construction of this episode because it's sort of classic in the monster movie, like pretty much from the 1950s sense, which is you have a terrible looking monster. Okay, what did you think of the salt vampire once you saw it?
I was sad, man. Why they give it those saddy eyes? Like, I'm out here trying to get salt in these streets, and y'all always telling me to leave, and we don't want you around, man. I'm hungry, man. My heart went out for it. It really did. I'm here trying to live. I'm just out on these streets trying to get some stuff.
I'm not going up to the pretzel guy. Just like scrape one off for me. Come on.
Come on, baby. Spare a dime for a guy down on his luck, man. That's
Give a sister some NaCl for heaven's sake. Here's another observation I had. Yeoman Rand. There's plenty of Yeoman Rand. So at one point, Green is like, because she's got salt.
Mhm.
And she says, "You been nipping sorry and brandy or something?"
Yeah. Very
like,
Jersey
wait,
girl.
Is Yeoman Rand like a bridge and tunnel girl? Like, what?
Sass.
What's going on here? She's got sass. Gotta love that sass. I also want to throw this at you. Message Captain, Starbase on Corinth 4 request explanation of our delay here, sir. Base Commander Dominguez says we have supplies he urgently needs. To which Kirk says, "Tell Jose he'll get his chili peppers when we get there. Tell him they're prime Mexican reds. I handpicked them myself. But he won't die if he goes a few more days without them." How racist is that?
Is this the same guy that's like, there's no room for bigotry on my bridge? Is that the same guy? Is that the same guy? Are you kidding me? And CBS is like, "Oh, this works for me. Okay, yeah, sure." Like, what?
His name's Dominguez, so yeah, sure, he'd like chili peppers. Just makes
You know
sense.
what? I can't with this.
Tell you what, cut the part about him dancing around his sombrero. It seems a little obvious to me.
But the chili peppers,
But chili peppers, keep that in.
they like a lot of spice over there. Jeez.
I just have to wonder about some of these. Okay, so obviously we get to the end of the plot. We find out that all of these things that have been going on are because Dr. Crater's wife was killed by this monster.
Mhm.
This monster is the last of its kind. The monster can assume shapes. And I really think that if you wanted to write about salt vampires, this episode has a lot of information in it, because here's my argument. I think it's a psychic power. I don't know that it's a physical power, even though they say it is.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy like a pheromone thing, because and it's hard because I understand it's one of the first episodes of the season. But to me, that was just way too. I'm not sure if it's a budgetary reason or just a cheap story reason to have it also be a shapeshifter that's altered into salt. So, like, if you can change your body and adapt some of the personality quirks of whatever, then you'd be a lot smoother than being like salt. Like you're not the Cookie Crisp dog. Like, what the hell? Like, which one is it? Are you just a monster out for salt? Or are you the savvy thing that has a drug addiction and it hasn't told me which one is it?
And another thing, and I hate, oh my God, I hate commenting on actors because it's a tough job. You work so hard to get it. And then a lot of times you're told what to do by the director, by the producers. So I don't know that I want to throw Jean Ball under the bus here, but I think one of the things that people dislike about this episode is her acting.
Okay. I mean, that's personal preference, right? If you're at home watching it, we don't comment on actors because we know how hard it is. But of course, you're doing it, you're like, "Oh, this actor was bad." I know this from Superman and Lois, the show on CW. People have told me plenty of times they're not a fan of one of the actresses on that show, and I totally get it.
And yet, I mean, look, we hear it all the time in terms of Star Trek Discovery. When people are going after Michael Burnham, Michael Burnham cries too much. Michael Burnham's too emotional. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. I think you just hate her.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. They're not the subject I'm used to. She's so weird. Oh no.
She's so weird. She talks quiet. It's like, look, she goes through a lot of filters. A lot of people worked on what she's doing. So it's not just her. It's like a lot of people making fun of Shatner's acting. Yes, some of that is Shatner's call, but a lot of that is the director's going, nailed it. Moving on.
Check the gate. Yeah.
Check the gate. We're good, people. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much to bring people down on their acting and their acting choices. One of the things I love about Star Trek is people make such wild choices. That's why I love Avery Brooks as Captain Sisko.
Mhm.
That's why I don't love what's his name on
Archer?
Enterprise.
Archer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott Bakula?
I don't love Scott Bakula in that role. I know he's doing what he thinks is some really good acting, but I don't love it. It just doesn't work for me.
Mhm.
Craig Lubin, going back to the salt vampire, the whole thing would have gotten a lot better if the salt vampire figured out how to use the bloody food replicators.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if Kevin Hart said, "You ever get so frustrated you just want to pass out?"
Yes. Yes, Kevin Hart, several times a day. When we do finally get to the very climax of the episode, and I have to say, I think it was done fairly well. McCoy does not want to do anything to the salt vampire because he's still seeing the woman he loved. He's still seeing Nancy Crater. There is an incredible moment where he's freezing while she's basically hypnotizing Kirk, getting ready to kill him. And Spock like runs in and he's like, he's trying to kill her. Like,
Yeah.
a little emotional there, Spock.
I mean, you know how it is when your guy's in love and stuff. Yo, snap out of it. He's sucking the salt out of your boss, bro.
Half my friends when you take them to a strip club.
Dang. I want to go with
there you
man.
are doing like the doing the hammer, doing the double axe handle to their faces.
I am always convinced when a group of guys go to a strip club, there's only one guy that really wanted to go, and all his friends are being like, all right. All right. I got a wife at home. I'm not sure why I'm here.
I'll do about $30 worth of this debauchery, but then I can't.
How much is the lap dance? I'm out. I'm way out.
I don't care. The dance is private. I'm not paying that amount. That's older men going to a gentleman's club. Okay, now in the original version of this script, the moral dilemma of killing the last of its kind, the salt vampire, had been more pronounced in the original script. The creature, disguised as McCoy, actually does a big speech at the end. And in that version, Professor Crater lives in the end, and he mourns the loss of this creature, the only one of its kind. Mm-hmm. What changed? I'll tell you what changed. Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Got his hands on the script, toned down the emotional aspects of the McCoy relationship, though I still felt there was a lot there, in favor of a more straightforward plot. As a cornered animal, the salt creature panics and actually kills its longtime companion, Professor Crater. Who was right here? The original script or the Gene Roddenberry rewrite?
It's hard to say who's right based on the context. It seems to me the more I come across these stories of Gene Roddenberry changing the plot, is like he just came from a time, I guess, post-Depression or even during the Depression where there was such travesty that you try to do positive things. Like when I was in film school, for example, and they would say the first year they give us like a little like handy cam and like, go out and make movies, kids. All the kids that grew up from poor neighborhoods or from the cities always had stories about guy finds $1 and he, buys food, but realizes a homeless person has money and gives him the money and food instead. And all the kids that came from like money were like, I'm doing movies about prostitutes and drug dealers. It's a gritty world. I want to know more about it, And there's this drive to be as positive and Pollyanna as possible. Not saying Gene Roddenberry's right, because some of this dialogue, it's pretty rough. But I understand if he's from the Depression era of the United States, I get that. Which is more compelling? Definitely the original one. I wanted to see that. That's a lot more fun.
It's funny because I think if this episode were made on any Trek show currently, Strange New Worlds, Discovery, even Picard, they would really play up the last of its kind. Should we really kill it? I have to say, a lot of that did remain in this episode because the very last scene, they're all kind of sad. Yeah. Even though they killed this monster that was trying to murder the captain, they're all sad. And, one of the last lines is Captain Kirk saying, well, I was just thinking about the buffalo.
Now he cares.
Now he cares.
Sorry, Dominguez. With those Native Americans. Woo!
Let's get these chilies to Dominguez before he gets really mad and invades Texas. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure if you care about this because I know you are on the fence, but thankfully they made the Salt Vampire canon again in Lower Decks. So
I love that.
Last cats at all.
I love that. I mean,
Right,
first
guys.
off, we are making a big deal that it's the last of its kind. But secondly, it's a fascinating creature. Does it have to be the last of its kind? It has psychic powers. It has physical shape-shifting abilities. Now, granted, they brought it back as a joke, but still.
Yeah.
You're right. It's there. I love seeing it.
It's a way to inflate the stakes. Back to the cop procedural drama. Like when the first scene we see the dead body, it isn't like, oh, it's Flobo Boys. Who? It's always like, oh my gosh, John Weber, the famous fashion designer, still the same dead body, but you inflated the stakes and go, oh my gosh, let's go into this world of fashion and all that stuff. So I get it being the last of its kind from a story standpoint, but you're right, totally necessary. The story doesn't really change with or without it, and they brought it back. So yay.
Now, let's talk about. Oh, there's one little odd thing that I wanted to throw at you too. The working titles of this show. It was not originally called The Man Trap. It was originally called Damsel with a Dulcimer.
What's a dulcimer? Is it a harp or something?
It's a string instrument like a harp, sort of. I think you hammer it.
I know stuff.
It's sort of like a piano. A piano is a bunch of hammers hitting the strings. This one, you have your own mallet and you hit the strings yourself.
Yeah, not a harp at all. It's a percussion instrument. So you.
Yeah. And early on, pianos, especially in jazz, were considered percussion instruments. Lionel Hampton, famous.
Makes sense. Yeah, the flange.
Yeah. Yes. And very much a part of jazz and then later soul. As James Brown used to say, everything in that orchestra is a drum.
Makes sense.
I love it. It's actually a reference to Samuel Coleridge's poem Kubla Khan. In the poem, Coleridge thinks if he could remember and reproduce her song, he could recreate in the actual world the wonders he has seen. Kind of interesting, but still, I don't think a good title.
No.
Damsel with a Dulcimer.
Yeah.
Here's the corrected title that they went to next. The Unreal McCoy.
That's a pun.
They of course finally settle on the Man Trap, which is, I think, really interesting and kind of, discusses the threat that we're looking at right now. Not a fan, Mr. Voice.
You know what? Okay, put it this way. I didn't know anything about the episode going into it. So it's not like an episode I've seen references of. So I was expecting either to be like a straight on siren or a Venus flytrap type deal.
Yeah.
But I felt like this Salt Vampire was easier to evade, but the characters chose not to. I felt like if it was like a plant closing in, if it was like a siren being like actively seducing you, I'd be like, okay, cool. But like I always felt like, how's it going? Like when Darnell saw the pleasure girl and she was walking like her leg was broken. I'm like, bro, that's not hot at all. You should know something's up. Like, hey, I'm like, what? But whatever.
Did it bother you when
it did.
When things blew up on the planet that they were clearly styrofoam?
Product of his time.
The
product of his time.
Yeah. Oh, and okay. I'm going to admit something that most Star Trek fans, longtime fans especially, would admit. I never knew where they got the nickname the Great Bird of the Galaxy in reference to Gene Roddenberry.
Oh.
It's from this episode.
Mm.
When Rand brings the food to Sulu, and Sulu's in the horticulture center or whatever it's called, he's so happy. And he thanks her by saying, "May the great bird of the galaxy bless your planet."
Oh, I get it.
And so apparently my fellow Star Trek nerds like took that to heart, and they were like, you know who the great bird of the galaxy should be? Gene. And Gene was like, I'm too busy sexually harassing people. What?
What? Do you hate this guy or what?
I really have some problems with Gene Roddenberry.
Sounds like
I have to admit, I really do. The problems I have with Gene Roddenberry are he put himself first a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we constantly see proof of it. And that really, I feel like we have to, we can't forgive him fully for that.
Sure.
You know, he's cheating on his wife. He's trying to date all the actresses on the show. He succeeds with a few. You know, eventually he'll pull the show down. As the show's getting better and better, he's like, whoa, I'm losing control. No. I'm going to like throw out some of your innovations and some of your great ideas because they're not mine. You know, that really bothers me, but you know, I'm a fan, and Gene wasn't a fan. Gene was the guy cranking this stuff out.
Right.
So I have to remember that.
Aw.
The last part of the story I find pretty interesting was there was pushback
From
a little magazine called Variety.
Oh yeah.
Variety published a negative review of Star Trek on September 14th.
By the way, Variety, an actual magazine, is like super high class. It's like $10. It's all plastic. It's nice. It really is.
And it was always like, you know, the industry paper. It was always the level. So imagine you worked on 6 episodes of Star Trek. They put the man trap out first, and then you hear this. The reviewer said this episode was dreary and confusing. It would be better suited to a Saturday morning kiddie block. And he was surprised the show actually made it to television, concluding the leading performers were working way too hard to appear credible. Wow, that's nasty.
Yeah. Kind of unnecessary. I mean, true, but kind of necessary.
TV Guide also printed a negative review of the series just based on this episode, saying that the sky's not the limit for this Trek.
It does sound like self-parody at that point. Like, what are the mags saying there, champ? Well, they said.
And now Leonard Nimoy, he did a documentary, which I loved, called Star Trek Memories. He mentioned the fact that NBC chose to air this episode first because they thought it was proper science fiction with a proper alien menace. And Nimoy also stated that of the episodes they had made at that point, this was everyone's least favorite.
Mm.
William Shatner did a book released in 1993 called Star Trek Memories. He calls this episode dreadful, one of our worst ever.
Wow. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but I will, like, compared to like the ones where you're told, oh, they're the best. I'm like, this one was like, like, that's fine. I mean, it was messy. I actually have it in my notes here. I was like, this would be a great mystery had the episode been half an hour or an animated series episode, like the Variety thing, but it wasn't bad, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, you know, it's also easier for me because I've got history with it where I can go, oh yeah, you know, that's where they started. They started with the whole invasion of the cat people kind of approach to monster movies. Don't show the monster till the end. You know, really create a mystery, tell a story that people are really trying to see the solution to, so they'll stick with it. Like, I totally get how and why they did what they did, and they did it so long ago that it almost feels, you know, wrong to review it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are.
And here we are. So anyway, the Falcon Winter Soldier was such a disappointment for me.
Tell me, if you had seen this episode, would you be eager to see the next episode?
Yeah, That's fine. Like what you think of old school science fiction. Granted, the song gonna come out the bam 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 like that wasn't that, but it to me it's such a standard episode. If I was programming the air dates, I see why you have the shuffle. If you have stronger episodes and you have the giant like premiere, you try to bury that one in there, and hopefully they'll stick around for the other ones. And so
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, honestly, I loved it as a kid. Okay. All right, let me qualify that. I think as a kid I found it way too talky, but you also have to remember that I have like ADHD. I
Question
have
mark? Do you not know if you have it? I also have I forget. So anyway, squirrels.
I have that thing where you can't focus enough to
Yeah.
remember what it's called.
I think it's way too talky. And going back to the CSI thing, when CSI Classic, which is I can't call it Vegas because it's actually a show called Vegas now. But when CSI Classic started, I thought it was way too talky. It was just Billy Peterson postulating with a skull in his hand, a la Hamlet, being like, "What is death and what it brings?" But when I studied abroad, and there was only one channel in English. This is Costa Rica at the time. I got into Miami because that was all explosions and guns and tight clothes, and New York because that was the most character-based driven one. And I got back into CSI. So it could be talky as a kid. I don't think it's your ADHD. It could have been just a very talky episode.
Yeah, I mean, 60s TV tended to be extremely talky anyway. So that's, my childhood and these old TV shows that I really wanted to like. Because I've always found Twilight Zone very talky. Yeah, that just happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Boyce, do you have anything on your notepad that we have not covered?
Sure. I have the Man Trap episode 2. That one woman from McCoy's past. That's an image I don't want to see or think about. This planet looks a lot like Vulcan. M113 intergalactic budget cuts. Am I right? Darnell's dead. He didn't even get the Tasha Yar treatment. He's dead. So anyway, what happened to Salt things? An episode about Salt? Okay, whatever. I have a question for you, John.
Yeah.
When you were younger, Captain, was this episode considered gory for you?
My parents, that's a great question. My parents were super fussy about that. They didn't want us, they hated if we were watching something where a cowboy shoots another cowboy and then there's blood. They hated that.
Yeah.
That was considered gory. So yeah, this was considered like at the edge of what we were allowed to watch. Now you have to remember I was 7 years old at the time. So
oh yeah, I got you. Well, I mean, the only one show that I was forbidden to watch as a kid was Seinfeld, but that's another issue altogether. Two more things for you. It seems to be a very common formula. It's a mystery on the planet. 40 minutes goes by, and it was an alien the whole time. Rinse and repeat. And of course, the black people are speaking Swahili, and that was this episode of the Man Trap.
Okay, now the Swahili thing, I thought I found that all very progressive. Because here is a primarily white show on a primarily white network, with primarily white people running everything. And they're like, if Uhura is going to see someone she considers super attractive, it's going to be a black man.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's not racist, is it?
It's not racist, but there's a billion languages in Africa. It just seems very it's just very surface. It's like, what's the thing to speak over there? Swahili? Yeah, that's it. It's like it was like progressive, but it had like no intent. It was like let's just throw it in there. Yeah. Bada boom.
And he seduces the hell out of Uhura. Like the salt monster just about kills her because she is so frozen by this tall,
good Spock can give her time of day. She got needs.
I dug it. I just thought it was kind of cool, very especially for 1966. Like, you know what? She's going to see a handsome black man, and this is what he looks like. I think that shows everybody in the hinterlands, like, yeah, she's not lusting after Captain Kirk. I guess earlier she was kind of lusting after Spock. So she's a green-blooded American girl. She knows what she wants. What did you think about Beauregard, the puppet plant that was clearly someone's hand?
Oh wow, the temperamental plant. Oh, quiet down. Yeah, okay, filler. Like I said, 20 minutes in and out. This would have been easy peasy.
Supposedly, when Yeoman Rand was shooting her scenes with the puppet plant, it got a little salty, if you'll allow that little reference. And he was like grabbing her skirt and stuff. He was
Beauregard. I expect this from Gene Roddenberry, not you. I'm just
oh god. Okay. Next week we are going to be watching. Oh, I can't believe I didn't use any of my banners this week. Oh, I didn't use my ticker. Oh, come on, John. What are you doing? I didn't use become a member of the Boisterous Crew. Join Patreon.
You copied and pasted it.
/Flobo Voice. I didn't use that.
I love it.
But I did want to use Voyager, allegedly one of the most frightening episodes of all Star Trek, called The Thaw, with Michael McKean as the clown. It's
I like
scary.
clowns.
And there's a clown.
I
Okay.
like clowns. Yeah.
All right.
Dogs freak me out, but clowns, they're nice people.
See, now that was one of the most interesting things I ever saw, because when you were over here, and please come over again as soon as you can.
Out of fear. No, I'm just kidding.
When you were over here and you met my dog, who could be scary. I'm not saying she's not scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you muscled through the fear, and my God, she still talks about you.
talks about. Well, I mean, it's a very Green Lantern thing. Like, I'm at the point now where different culture, right? United States, we treat like dogs like family members. So I can't walk into a room and be like, I'm afraid of your dad, because people get upset. So it's a fear nobody really respects. You gotta like at least either pretend or find a way to make it work, because no one's going to be like, oh, you're afraid of dogs. I understand. It's always, you're afraid of dogs, but my dog's cute. And you're like, all right. But Petra was nice. She didn't bite me once, so it was great.
What I always try to do is I always try to make it work, because if I try to keep the dog away from you, all she's going to want is to be with you.
Well, yeah, I effect on ladies.
Well, I don't know if you were wearing cocoa butter or what, but she thought you were delicious.
Yeah.
She's like, this food's good. It's not like licking Flobo.
You gotta get those Dominguez chili peppers on. That's right. That's how you do it.
Damn it, Jose, and your delicious chili peppers. Okay, so Mr. Boyce, how can people find you and your great works on the internet?
I'm on that social media, Flobo Boys, Twitter, Instagram, and all that jazz. But yes, Patreon it is. Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. We got some cool stories. We got all my show notes for all my shows. Exclusive interviews are all available there. Make sure you check it out.
Absolutely. And join us next week right here on Starbase 80, where we will be watching The Thaw, a scary version or a scary episode of Voyager. And I'm not sure how much Neelix is in it, so you may have to muscle through.
That's what I do. I'll pretend Neelix is a dog. Let's go!
Mr. Voice, would you please do the honors?
Live long and prosper.
Oh my God, he's voguing. He's voguing.
I always do. The camera's on me. What do I do? Help me out. Get me out of here.